right. Well, after a long hiatus, we're back. This is the Rarefied Air podcast doing a Marvel Snap tier list once more. And it's not just any tier list. My name's Maxwell, and I'm joined here by my co host, Andrew. Andrew, can you tell us what kind of tier list we're doing?
Yes, it's not just any tier list. It's not a normal tier list you normally get for card games, where you rate cards on how good they are. We're here rating cards on how much they reflect the flavor of the card, of the character they are based on.
Exactly. And like I said, we had a long hiatus since the last time that we did one of these. And, we had some editing issues, some saving issues, some me being absent for large parts of the year issues. And now we're back, and we're still doing our A through Z on the initial releases for cards. And once we get through that, we'll push on to doing the seasonal releases. And who knows, maybe someday in the far future, we'll catch up to current releases. But we're going in order. So, where did we leave off last time?
Well, before we find out where we left off last time, we have to have a very, very long-delayed version of Andrew's Research Corner.
Oh, that's right. Andrew's Research Corner, yeah. So, Andrew's Research Corner is where neither of us know a character. So, Andrew goes and looks up things about them so that we can discuss and rate them based on their flavor with that new information that Andrew's dug up for us. So, what do you got for us today?
Unfortunately, as has happened every time with my Research Corner, a lot of these characters just end up in F, because it turns out a lot of the characters that I don't know, turns out they didn't know what to do with. So in this time in our Who Is This tier, we have Giganto, which I previously said I did not know who this was. I do know who this is, actually. He is the infamous giant green monster in the cover of the first Fantastic Four issue, under the control of everyone's favorite, I swear everyone knows this character and loves him character, Mole Man. He's just a big monster. What does that have to do with him only being able to play on the left side? Literally nothing. They just wanted a card that had a high power, so that needed a play restriction. F.
Yeah, I mean, it just doesn't really, it doesn't really fit the bill. I mean, yes, big monster. I guess that's technically better than, New America Chavez. But, I don't think big monster is really enough. It would be better, honestly, if this was just a 614 with nothing else on it. I'd be more inclined to give it, a C. The left location thing, I just don't really get it at all.
Yeah. It has... It has a little bit, besides the left location thing is mainly just it just kills it because there's nothing to do with it. It has slight thematic links because the location Monster Island is where Giganto is from, and he's the biggest monster in Giganto Island, and he is in fact bigger than the monsters from Monster Island because they're only 10 power. But the play restriction doesn't make money. And speaking of play restrictions, we have the Infonaut, who is he's a traveler from another dimension. His thing is Blue Marvel that kept stopping him from entering our reality, because Infonaut was just really, really big, and if he entered our reality, he'd just kind of destroy everything. So they realized, he's just trying to explore. So they used I forget what they used. Give me a break. It was 6 months ago. I looked this up.
Did they use 10 particles?
I don't. Probably. As I said, it's been 6 months. I don't remember. But they shrunk him to a normal size, or able to exist in our plane of reality size, and then he was there. This card has nothing to do with anything. I don't know why you can't play him if you didn't play a card last turn. It has nothing to do with what he was doing. I don't even know why he's a 620. I mean, he's I guess he's big, and I guess he is reality breaking big, but I don't know. This card doesn't really have anything to do with the Infonaut besides being big.
Now it sounds like you're making a pretty good case for it being a D. And the reason why I say that is because Infonaut is the biggest card in the game. Again, the play restriction, I don't get it. But he's so big he couldn't fit into our reality. The 620, I mean, that sounds kind of, and it's you could say, well, you have to do a little extra work to get him into the game. You have to go around the weird little thing, kind of like they had to use some kind of special technology or goober or something. I don't know. That sounds like a D to me.
Fine.
I mean, that's what D is supposed to be, right? Is It's like,
True.
it's not great, but we can justify it.
Okay,
I want to
well,
see more, but that's, it gets a D. It gets a D.
oh, with that, we can move on to actually having new cards. And our first new
All
card
right.
is Juggernaut. Juggernaut is I think he's still a 3 cost, 3 power.
Yep.
And his on reveal is move, what is it, like all cards played here, including unrevealed
Yeah.
cards?
Yes. Move away all enemy cards played here this turn, including unrevealed cards.
Yeah, see, it's been so long. When we were last time we did this, that they hadn't even made that change yet. Well, he moves stuff.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of weird because, you know, Juggernaut is the unstoppable force, right? That's his whole thing. He can't be stopped. He's incredibly strong, very durable. I mean, at 3/3, he's kind of looking a little anemic for Juggernaut. To be honest, he's kind of like the movie Juggernaut, like where he's just like a guy, you know?
Yeah, the original, not the Deadpool Juggernaut. We're talking like the original when he first showed up in a movie, where he was just a guy wearing like a helmet,
Well,
like just
well,
like
I actually. So you haven't seen the new Deadpool movie, but they have that Juggernaut in the new Deadpool movie. I
yeah,
guess
but like it's a
spoiler
reference to the
alert.
original Juggernaut, not
Yeah,
the
yeah. Not
normally
not the not
actually
the
named
one that
Deadpool
rips
Juggernaut.
Deadpool in half. Yeah, Deadpool 2. The one in Deadpool 3 that's just a regular guy. Um,
And you know what I'm thinking here, Max? I'm thinking we invoke one of our abilities here, which is to sneak on down to the R section and grab Rhino for the
mm.
thematic link
Okay.
parallel.
Yes, yes. So Rhino does something actually pretty dramatically different. He's still 3/3 on reveal. Ruin this location. It removes the location's ability. It turns into ruin. Now, it's kind of interesting because Rhino he's very similar thematically, like in the comics, right? When you think of Juggernaut, when you think of Rhino, the beginning of the comic is going to be something like insert name here is on a rampage, destroying everything, right? And insert character here has to stop them. Rhino, usually he's doing more small time stuff because he's like a bank robber, for some reason, even though he's actually like really powerful.
Well,
He
he's a
usually just
he's a
robs
bank
banks.
robber slash like muscle for other characters.
Yeah.
Mainly because he just, I don't know, he's not. He doesn't have big ambitions. He doesn't even really want to be Rhino. He's just kind of around.
Yeah. Yeah, which is kind of sad. I mean, like in another universe, Rhino probably could have been a superhero, but he's just not smart enough to do that. I guess I don't know. Because I'm sure like Shield would pay him money to like
Yeah,
actually
I don't
do
know.
helpful stuff.
He's very similar in that regard to like Sandman.
Yeah, yeah,
Where it's less he's a villain because he has like some like tragic backstory, and more he's a villain because, well, I mean, that's what he was before he became a supervillain. He was just a small time criminal, and then he became a supervillain. He became the supervillain equivalent of a small time criminal.
yeah, yeah. And then Juggernaut, he's always on some like crazy stuff. I mean, sometimes he does regular crime, I guess, but I feel like whenever Juggernaut's around, he's always doing some like something insane that the X-Men like really need to stop him from doing. Like
Yeah,
not like like FICO insured kind of crime.
because the reason why I wanted to bring Rhino up here is the fact that like these characters I think fall into the category of stuff we've had before, where it's like they probably only really want one card that can turn a location into ruins, but they wanted to add both of these characters, so they had to figure out something for the other one to do.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, I will say, I don't think either of these abilities is particularly bad for these characters. It'd be kind of cool if they could finesse some way to make the abilities more similar, but knocking people out of the way, that's pretty decent. Destroying the location, that's kind of the better one, in my opinion. I think that fits them better.
Yeah,
It's like the character like Rhino and Juggernaut if the art is them breaking through a brick wall, that's perfect. That's classic that character, right? Which I think it's kind of like what both of them are doing in their art, right? You've got Rhino with a bunch of rubble around them, and you've got Juggernaut with he's kind of just walking, but there's also rubble around him, so he's doing more like menacing, like I just broke this wall and now I'm walking kind of stance.
It's Juggernaut. If he's Juggernaut and there's any type of rubble around him, he's like there's a good 90% chance he's the one who made it.
Yeah. Yeah. And like the up like 8% is him. He just threw someone through whatever the rubble is.
Just go through that wall. He caused something else to go through that wall.
Yeah. So I think for me, Rhino feeling like an S. I feel like of the two, like if you were to be like, who's gonna win, Juggernaut versus Rhino? I would say Juggernaut every time.
Yeah, it's definitely Juggernaut.
And so the fact that they're both 3/3 kind of concerns me a little bit. I mean, the power and cost thing is kind of like lower on, I feel like, what we care about. But it is important enough that, especially when you look at these two side by side, you're kind of like, that's kind of weird. Like, why are they both 3/3s?
Yeah, but then you run into the problem in like Magic the Gathering where you're like, why is this boar have higher power toughness than this trained soldier?
Yeah, right. But it's worth at least mentioning. But I think of the two abilities, I think Rhino's ability is a better fit, and I think that Juggernaut's ability is fine. It's not what I think of when I think of Juggernaut, and it's also like when someone tells me that's what Juggernaut does, I don't go, oh, I go, huh. I'm personally, I'm thinking for Rhino, I'm thinking S. I think it's pretty slick.
I would agree. He lends an
Juggernaut
design.
Yeah. Juggernaut though, maybe. My gut says B. I could see an A though.
When I moved them up, I had tentatively placed it in A, but my feeling is B. I feel like he lines up pretty thematically with the other cards we have in B.
Yeah, it's like you get it, but it could be a little better. We want to see more next time. Well, in the future, I guess. Oh, that reminds me. Dude, we have not done this in so long. There have been some updates to some of the cards here. Like Dr. Octopus. Oh, Dr. Octopus has to move down a tier. No! Because he only grabs one card now, but he has 4 arms. I was so sad. I was so sad when I saw that update. I was like, no!
You heard it here, folks. Unfortunately, Dr. Octopus, which Max has fought so passionately for in the past, has to move from A to B. But I think that's the only
of the cards we have so far. I think it's the only big one. I mean, Captain America has changed,
but like Captain America's change is like nothing. Destroyer's change is like kind of weird, but I don't think it's enough to knock him out of Sublime.
No,
I think that's really the only.
Yeah, everything else has kind of just had like stat adjustments.
Yeah. We get to one of the ones that really shows this is in fact a flavor tier list and not a power tier list, which is of course King the Conqueror.
King the Conqueror. Well, King Conqueror is a 5/0. On reveal, look at what your opponent did, then restart the turn without Kang.
Now, if this was a power tier list, Kang would just be an F. King has been since King was announced in contention for worst card in the game. Like King is just bad. It doesn't do anything, and the information it gives you is really not valuable.
No, I've seen Kang 3 times. 3 times in the 2 years that I've been playing Marvel Snap, and other people have been playing Marvel Snap more than I have, I'm sure, but I play a lot of Marvel Snap. And he's pretty bad. He doesn't show up very often. So he's not good.
No.
However,
in a flavor tier list,
Yeah. It was a little different. He's looking a little better. A flavor tier list. Because, as we all know, Kang's, well, not really his power, but his ability. He's kind of like Iron Man. He has a bunch of technology. His power is that he can manipulate time, and he does so frequently. If he wanted to, he could, obliterate the Avengers. He doesn't do that because he wants to beat them fair and square, which is kind of like weird. I don't really understand that very much, but he's a villain, so whatever. And he just constantly, resets time.
He's got to have some kind of explanation, because if they didn't give him that, he could just win.
Well, I mean, from a writing perspective, right? But that's sort of like a paint yourself in a corner type of thing.
More than into a corner because someone went, "Hey, why doesn't Kang just like travel back in time and just like kill the Avengers when they're like children and then just win?" And then someone else is like, "Ooh,
yeah." Well, I mean, he's like vain, I guess. Like he wants to beat them at the apex of their power. I think Kang was a much better character in the Loki TV show. I didn't see how he turned out at the Ant-Man movie because I didn't care about it. I don't think anyone else did either because that movie did not do well in the box office.
I think the two emotional responses people had to that were not caring and what the hell is that MODOK?
Yeah. So, but I think in Loki he was much better realized. But it's not really relevant for this flavor list because I think for both Comic Book King and MCU King, this is a slam dunk sublime, in my opinion. It just makes sense. I mean, it'd be kind of cool if a really powerful character were really powerful at Marvel Snap, but that's not always good, for the game, at least. And flavor-wise, I mean, hey, what are you going to do? If your ability doesn't work in Marvel Snap, it doesn't work in Marvel Snap. But the ability makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah, I'm really happy they didn't make Kang like the original printing of Karn, where he just restarts the game, but gives you some kind of bonus.
Magic the Gathering.
Yeah, because that would just... Mm-hmm. I'm just really happy they didn't do that. That's
the... Okay. What we got next?
What we have next is Kazar, which I think I'm gonna have to put in who is this, because I gotta be real. I know Kazar is in the Savage Lands and he owns Zabu, and that's all I know about Kazar. I don't know if you know anything about Kazar, because I don't.
Not especially. I mean, he's obviously Tarzan, but like the Great Value version. Yeah. But I think we could do a little more research on him. I'm willing to come back to this.
Okay, so we will move Kazar to who is this? And then move on to our next one, which is Killmonger. This is one we've never had a discussion about, actually. I wouldn't say Kazar does. Kazar is a 4 cost, 4 power, gives all your 1 cost cards plus 1 power. But we'll revisit that in the next Andrew's Research Corner when we have any idea of how that thematically links up. But Killmonger.
Yeah, so Killmonger is a 3/3. On reveal, destroy all 1 cost cards. So I'm not as familiar with comic book Killmonger. I'm more familiar with MCU Killmonger. Because I really like Black Panther in the MCU. Haven't really read the comics very much. I tried to read the Ta-Nehisi Coates Black Panther. It was a little too literature for me. I don't say this very often, but maybe I'm not sophisticated enough for it. I didn't get that at all. But in the movies, I mean, Killmonger is just, he lives up to his name. He's always killing people. It's pretty much like almost never the case that Killmonger is on screen in a scene and someone doesn't die. And in the game, he just kills a lot of things. And killing the weak specifically, I guess, like 1 cost cards, maybe not exactly specific, but I think that destroying cards is, it's kind of a crowded space in Marvel Snap, There's a lot of cards that destroy cards with a lot of conditions. Killmonger killing 1 cost, I think is, I I don't know. I mean, do you think the specificity of it is kind of a little is a problem? I feel like I'm kind of convincing myself that.
Would, as I've already done this episode, but I would actually like to call in another card to be examined along with Killmonger for very specific, similar reasons, actually. And the card I'd like to call is Lady Deathstrike. So Lady Deathstrike, this is old Lady Deathstrike. This is back when Lady Deathstrike destroyed stuff specifically weaker than her. But Lady Deathstrike now is a 5 cost, 7 power. Destroy all cards here with 3 or less power. Now, Lady Deathstrike, I feel personally, is someone who meets with her condition. And I would actually say her original design, while more problematic for the game, is like expressly better for her as a character. For those who don't know, Lady Deathstrike, she's a Wolverine villain. You could probably guess she has claws. 90% of those are Wolverine villains. But she is, her whole thing is she's just like she's evil and just kind of just like a terrible person mostly. So for her, like, I don't know, because Killmonger's also a terrible person and also evil, but like Killmonger's like a really like, at least in the MCU again. As Max has said, I also don't really know much about comic Killmonger. Not one of the comic Black Panther villains I really know much about, but at least in the movie, he is like a very grand villain. He's like grand aspirations that are more than just like bullying people weaker than him. To me, Lady Deathstrike feels like a person who just likes hurting people and likes hurting people weaker than her because it's significantly easier than hurting people stronger than you or even at the same level as you.
Okay. I like that. That's a good psychological explanation. Yeah, and I feel like Lady Deathstrike does embody that better with her older design, but I think her new design actually captures that really well. It is better for the game, obviously. But I don't know, man. I mean, I feel like it's kind of even though it's technically a downgrade, it's still so good that I'm inclined to give Lady Deathstrike a sublime, just because it just makes sense. It's the same rationale, it just doesn't fit quite as well. You know what I'm saying?
It does kind of. It's interesting because the trade off is like she less directly just kills people younger, destroys people weaker than her. But it also is kind of interesting because it kind of also points to her insecurities, the fact that she'll only destroy people who are, at this point, much weaker than her. Because now it's not even like, I have 1 power point higher than you. She's a 7 power and she's only ever fighting things of 3 or less. But
yeah,
it's a trade-off. Killmonger, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, look, I like that Killmonger can kill lots of things at once. I like that Killmonger be killing, but I don't know if the 1 cost thing really makes sense. So I personally would put him an A. I think the ability fits really well. I think there's a really good rationale for it, but I think the specificity of it is a little off.
I can agree with that. Next we got now this is one that's really changed. Kingpin.
Kingpin. Yes. Now Kingpin has really he's really decreased in cost. I've actually been thinking about this one a lot because we played the game. I saw the patch notes. I was like, what do I think about this? So I'm excited to talk about it. He's a 1/2. Used to be more cost. Now he's a 1/2.
It used to be a 3/4.
Yeah, he's really moved down in the cost department.
Well, not even just the cost department. He also moved down in the not even moved down. Sorry, he moved up in the what the effect is. Well, actually, he moved down and up in what the effect is.
Yeah, which I have some thoughts about that. We'll come back to that in a moment. Yeah, he's a 1/2. When an enemy card moves here, afflict it with -2 power. Now, here's what I like about the changes to Kingpin. Kingpin, while he is like, I guess what some people would refer to as a freak of nature, he's kind of like Shaq, where he's just a really big guy, and there's no reason for he's not a mutant or anything. He's just a really big guy.
Yeah.
For no reason other than just genetics. And he's pretty smart. and he's really good at being a crime boss, but he doesn't have any augmentations, doesn't have any superpowers. He's just a really, talented crime boss. He's pretty smart. He's really big and strong, but that's just normal human, big and strong. If you can, call like Shaq-sized people normal. And in a superhero world, that sounds kind of like what 1-2 cost is, like Daredevil, right, or Elektra, or Daredevil's probably like Olympic athlete level fitness, and he actually has a really cool ability. But comparing him to like Null, if he's the only thing standing between Earth and Null, Earth is cooked. It's over. And similarly, if you fight Kingpin head on, Spider-Man could box him up easily. The problem is that Spider-Man doesn't typically fight Kingpin because Kingpin typically hires people to do his job. Like Kingpin's the kind of guy you go out for in a RICO case, not like the guy you fight hand to hand. Yeah. So anyways, that's why I like him as a 1 cost. I feel like him being a normal guy, but he exerts this powerful influence over his location, and he has that synergy with his tower, which still does the same thing where it afflicts people that move to it. I like it, and I like that he only affects enemy cards. He used to affect all cards, and I think it's good that he only affects enemy cards. I feel like I feel like that fits the flavor of him being a mob boss. Where he does have friends. That's kind of his part of his thing is he's an organized crime kind of guy. You can't have organized crime if you're just out for yourself. Like say Lady Deathstrike, who kills everything. He just hurts enemy cards.
Yeah. And one thing about something we didn't mention about Lady Deathstrike, she does not care about her subordinates, which is why she also kills people on your side. Very similar also for Killmonger, why he also just kills indiscriminately because he's Killmonger. Now, a thing you didn't talk about, which I think I alluded to briefly when we were just saying what Kingpin does, is both Kingpin and Fisk Tower, his location, used to destroy cards instead of just reducing their power. That ended up being really unhealthy for the game, mainly because people just Kingpin was only ever played to combo with Magneto, especially because his ability only used to be active on the last turn.
Right.
So he was less of like an actual card and more of just a turn 6 combo piece win. And they decided that was not healthy for the game, which I'll be honest, I agree with. And
popular opinion alert. I agree with that change.
Yeah, I don't know. I like Kingpin's change. Kingpin, I think it works better because it feels more, especially because most of the people in this game are super powered. So it kind of felt weird that Kingpin was able to exert enough pressure to be like, if you enter my turf, you just die.
Yeah.
It makes more sense now. That's if you enter my turf, things are going to be harder for you. So it's if you enter where he is, he'll hit you with a power debuff. So you feel the sting of entering his territory, and things aren't as easy as you want them to be there.
Yeah, I think the only thing that could make him better, and this is just, I don't think it's going to keep him out of Superb, but I have a suggestion. If he was his ability plus Kraven's ability, because he's a mob boss, he likes to charge rent from people, right? Racketeering, it makes sense. He takes from you and he gets bigger. I'm just saying. But yeah, I think in his current state, he's amazing. Maybe just shy of perfect because I have my own little designer ideas, but this is pretty dang good.
Am I being sensible about balance of the game? If he also had Kraven's ability, he'd just be broken. So
what if it was a -1 and a +1? You know what I'm saying? Same score, but
I think I think the thing with that is it would overlap too much.
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense. And it would enable Ajax and Gilgamesh at the same time. Yeah.
It would provide probably too much overlap on the self-move buff and the opponent move afflict strategies.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, my favorite card in this game, I say, lying through my teeth. Kitty Pryde. So Kitty Pryde is a 1 cost, 0 power. At the end of your turn, this returns to your hand and gets +1 power. I hate this card. I've actually always hated Kitty Pryde. Also, what does this have to do with Kitty Pryde?
Yeah, I mean, something that's kind of weird about Kitty Pryde is that, like, I mean, I just okay, look, this has been like a D to me on first blush. The reason why I say that is because Kitty Pryde, aka Shadowcat's ability, is that she can phase through objects. Moving between zones, like, yeah, it's kind of the same idea generally. Here's my problem with that. That should be a move-based card, or a can go in locations that normally you can't go into, like kind of Jeff type card, right? This isn't that. Shadowcat does not get more powerful over time in any way. She has no energy absorption abilities, nothing like that. She's not like, I don't know, like the Hulk where she fights for longer and she gets better or something like that. The power gain doesn't make any sense. I don't know what the justification for that would be. And the movement, it kind of makes sense, but it's not what I would expect for her ability specifically.
You pretty much brought him up, so let's bring Jeff ! The baby land shark into this discussion. Who is it?
Right. So yeah. So Jeff is he is a 2/3. You can move this once. Nothing can stop you from moving or playing this to any location. Now this, I feel like, is what Shadowcat should be. Obviously, Jeff, Gwenpool character. I guess Jeff also does Gwenpool style breaking the fourth wall type stuff. So him being able to go wherever, he's literally a land shark, right? Like it makes sense.
I know one of the things Jeff can do is he can swim through the ground because land shark.
Right. So it makes sense for Jeff, but I mean, he's swimming through the ground. Who does that sound like? Sounds like Shadowcat. She can also phase through the ground. So why does he do this but she doesn't? Matter of fact, bring up War Machine. I got an axe to grind about this.
Okay.
Now, go ahead and explain for our listeners what War Machine does.
So War Machine is a. You see a 4/6 again?
He's a 4/6. Yep.
Okay. Kind of like buffed into like 7 power or something. So he's a 4/6 currently. He's a 4/6 ongoing. Nothing can stop you from playing cards anywhere. Now,
maybe I'm missing something about War Machine that you can pull out of the recesses of your mind, Andrew. Now, I know War Machine can fly, and I recall reading a dev update about War Machine's release that said that he can use his advanced technology to allow you to enter any location. Does War Machine have any technology that allows you to like phase through objects or maybe teleport? Anything like that?
No.
I can't remember.
He doesn't. Unironically, the best flavor I can come up with this is that he has missiles and he just fires them at wherever the location is and blows open a hole and you go through that. Besides that...
Yeah, and I mean, listen, if we're going to use that logic, that's what Juggernaut should be doing, right? Like this card, War Machine, actually blows my mind. Like, I almost want to create a like sub F tier for this, like an underworld under F. We don't have to, but this card frustrates me to no end. There were so many choices they could have made for War Machine, and they did not do anything. They just said, we'll just give him an ability that should have another card.
Yeah, because I'll be honest, who I think should have this ability, but I don't know, I was going to say they're not going to put them in the game, but they already have one member in the game, and Flatman was in the files, but this should be Doorman.
Yeah. This should be Doorman from the Great Lakes Avengers, everyone's favorite superhero team.
Yeah, I mean, you may know Squirrel Girl, but you probably don't know where she came from. That's a lie. Everyone, Iron Man.
Everyone just want to blow up and forget where they came from.
You forgot the first team that actually accepted her to be part of it, because she tried to become Iron Man's sidekick, and Iron Man was like, I'm sorry, Squirrel Girl, but your original design is really creepy, and I don't want to be near you anymore.
Yeah, she was not always as cute as she is now. She had a real glow up. But you're totally right. Doorman would fit this way better. So War Machine, F.
Yeah.
Kitty Pryde, you should do what War Machine does, or something like it.
What Jeff does.
Yeah. D. Jeff, you're great. You're very lovable, and I understand why Gwenpool likes you a lot. S.
Okay, yeah, we had the almost the full spectrum.
Well, I just had to summon all the students in to let War Machine and Kitty Pryde know what they should be doing. Okay.
It's like Kitty Pryde just got unlucky that other people got the ability she should get. War Machine, we just unironically no idea what they were thinking when they made that card. It does not feel like War Machine at all. And no matter how many cool orange targeting reticles they put on the locations, it doesn't feel like War Machine still.
Yeah, you know what this reminds me of? I remember when I was in high school, one of my friends, he told me that his mom was like, this is like one of my best friends. His mom was like, oh, I bet Max doesn't get B's. And I was like, yo, don't bring me into it. That's what this is like. You know, Kitty Pryde got a D, and I was like, bring Jeff in here. See this? This is how you write an essay. Not whatever this is.
Oh, at least we get a short reprieve in our next card here. For our next card is Claw.
Claw. So Claw is a 5 cost, 4 power, ongoing. The location to the right has +7 power. Now, in his animation, they make it clear that he's using is it a Sonic Disruptor? Is that what it's called? Arm cannon? Something like that?
Yeah, I think it's Sonic Disruptor. He's using his sound gun.
Yeah. It is some kind of sound gun, you know, the eponymous Claw that you can blast people with. Can he charge things up? I mean, is that like a thing that he does with his Claw?
I don't know. He's made clones of himself, so probably.
Yeah, it's interesting because, so, again, I know Claw more from the Black Panther movie than the comics. So I know that in the comics, he's more of a scientist. In the movie, he's more of like a kind of mercenary guy who just happens to have a cybernetic arm. Whereas in the comics, he's like Dr. Claw or something like that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, him having a cool gadget, they can buff a location. I mean, fine, you know. Oddly, unlike War Machine, who technology does not explain what he does, he's kind of similar to Iron Man, right? Where it's like, yeah, he buffs a location, you know. That's a fine explanation for technology. It's kind of on theme with, you know, what this other character does. Do I think it's great? No. Do I think it's bad? Also, no. I think it's fine. What do you think?
Well, I think about that. A fact that is not really relevant to where his flavor ranks, but is interesting about Claw, specifically as this is the comics Claw. Like the MCU Claw, the comics Claw does die, but unlike the movie Claw, after he dies, he just becomes a being of pure sound. So he just kind of comes back to life as sound. So he's just made of sound now. As of yet, the MCU one is just kind of dead still.
Yeah.
It's just not really relevant to how he ranks in this thing, but I just find it to be interesting. I don't know. He's very... I will say, I think for me, I feel like I would personally put him in C, while we have Iron Man in D, mainly because for me, Claw's his visual effects really sell what he's doing to me, because it's like Iron Man just kind of puts a multicolored ring around the location number. I don't really know what that means, I'll be honest with you, but like Claw specifically, like, standing there and he blasts sound waves to the other location to give your... I don't know if it's like... Again, the thing we talked about before, a lot of people, if this game was like true to effects, most cards would just be destroying stuff. So it's like, would Claw be more thematically like good if he like blasted sound at your opponents and gave them like a, you know, power malice? Maybe, but I feel like him blasting sound somewhere to give your team a better chance of winning that location, to me, I feel like pretty solidly supports Claw. So it's, as you said, it's not perfect, but for me, it's better than Iron Man.
I can agree with that. Where did we end up slotting Iron Man in
Iron Man is
D?
in D. Yes.
Yeah, because technology. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I feel like Claw. I'd be willing to give him to put him in B. I think it's pretty decent. It's not perfect, but it's like if you look at the other cards in C, it's better. It's better than those. It's better than those.
True. I will. I will move Claw to B, and we will move on to our next card, which is Null. Main villain of apparently not a good Venom movie. I wouldn't know. I didn't see the first two, so I didn't see the third one. Yeah. So Claw, not Claw. We just did Claw. Null is a 6-cost 0 power who has ongoing, gets +1 power for every. That's not what it says. He has the power of all cards that have been destroyed. I don't know why I went +1 power. I was reading this like a badly formatted Magic card, where it's like has +X, where X is the total power and toughness of cards destroyed, and whatever. He has the power of all the cards that have been destroyed.
Yeah.
So Null, as I don't know actually know how many people know, because I don't know how many people saw the third Venom movie. Talk about a movie that's not doing great at the box office. But Null is he's the creator of the Kylanar, which is the species name of the symbiotes, like Venom. He's like a dark primordial god, just kind of really evil, likes hurting and killing things. That's why he made the Kylanar. All around unpleasant person. This fits.
Yeah. I mean, he gets stronger when people die. As a deity, I feel like being a 6-cost, like, as like a greater deity, like, you know, like Thor is a god, but like he kind of gets slapped around sometimes. Like Null is like, he is, you know, like Thor is like, or Null is like Thanos, right?
Yeah.
Where
for a direct god comparison, like Odin.
Yeah. So he definitely should be a 6-cost. Again, not super important, but very relevant in the sense that, you know, I mean, even in the game designers are like, hey, we want Null to be like a Series 5 card forever. Which, you know, from a balance perspective, kind of crazy. But from a lore perspective, that makes a lot of sense. He's kind of a big bad. And the fact that he has dominion over the destruction of cards, but interestingly, in a different way than death. I mean, it's just great. I think it's sublime.
I would be inclined to agree with you.
Yeah, and bonus points are something very different from death, but also, you know, tying direct with the concept of things dying.
However much I wish Destroy didn't have 7 game-winning cards in its archetype. It does, so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thankfully, our next card is not from Destroy, but unfortunately, it's Korg.
So Korg, a character that I don't know from the comics, is a 1/2. On reveal, shuffle a rock into your opponent's deck. Now, do you know Korg from the comics? I know Korg from Thor Ragnarok.
I do know Korg from the comics. He's part of Hulk's warband.
Oh, wait, from like when Hulk got exiled?
Yeah, he's from Sakaar. He's part of Hulk's warband.
Oh,
in the comics.
Oh, that's really different. I mean, well, okay, not that different, because in Thor Ragnarok, he's also kind of from Sakaar. But, well, no, he's from Sakaar. Because everyone from Sakaar is like, they're like gladiators, right? So he's part of.
They just got rid of everyone's favorite comics character. I swear everyone knows about, the Red King, and replaced him with Jeff Goldblum saying he's the Grandmaster, but had nothing really in common with the Grandmaster at all.
I forgot that Jeff Goldblum was supposed to be the Grandmaster. I'm gonna be honest. When I think of that movie, I just think of him as Jeff Goldblum. Like no other abilities.
He has nothing in common with the Grandmaster besides being called the Grandmaster.
Like it's just Jeff Goldblum. You know, like the whole National Geographic thing didn't work out, so he got in a spaceship and went to Sakaar and decided to do gladiator arena stuff. It's just actually Jeff Goldblum from Earth.
Yeah.
It's
like how Bill Murray played Bill Murray in Zombieland. Anyway, on Korg. So, we're just gonna grab the other guy because the same card. It should be a lot better if I remember what the order of things released in or how the alphabet goes.
I want to say Rockslide was in
he was in the
Series 3, like on release. Okay, so Rockslide, he's a 4/5. On reveal, shuffle 2 rocks into your opponent's deck.
Okay, I didn't say Korg does. He's a 1/2 on reveal, shuffle a rock into your opponent's deck. So, both of these cards. You know what? Let's bring the other rock guy. Let's just grab the Thing. Let's just get all our rocks out of the way.
Listen, after this episode, no more rock-based characters. All right, you hear that? You hear that, Second Dinner? No more rock-based characters. There's too many in this game already. Nobody knows who the hell Rockslide is. All right.
Max, he's from fan favorite team, the Hellions. Everyone knows the Hellions. I swear. Also, listen. Only member who got in.
I mean, I like the Hellions, yeah, but where are the other characters from the Hellions? That's what I'm saying. Are you
afraid to try and adapt Tag into this game? You should.
I mean,
I have no idea what he would do.
Yeah, but I like Dust. Where's Dust? She's awesome.
Although, to be fair, it also seems like they didn't know what the hell didn't know like they should have Rockslide do. So the thing that's weird about this is, if you look at this, you'd be like, oh, like Rockslide and Korg like control rocks or something. No, one of them is just an alien whose species happens to be made out of rock, and one of them's just made out of rock. They don't throw rocks. They don't use rocks. One just happens. The Thing also doesn't do anything with rocks because, again, his skin's just made of rocks. The Thing is probably the best here flavor-wise, and he doesn't do anything.
Well, yeah. I mean, since we're using the...
he does something, and the something is thrown
the high evolutionary. Yeah, and other, I don't know, assorted objects in the cityscape, which, notably, are not rocks, right? Yeah. They make clear that he throws objects from the environment at people because he's really strong, which honestly is pretty smart, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like Andrew was saying, I mean, these characters aren't like, they don't just like summon rocks or just like, I don't know, detach them from their body. You know, like, I mean, I don't know, like, I don't want to get into body horror, but it'd just be weird to assume that like whatever somebody's made out of, they just like attach pieces of themselves and throw them at people.
What Colossus did in this game was like summon a piece of sheet metal, and you're like, I mean, I guess he is made of metal, but isn't. Why is he like detaching it and throwing it into your deck? Like, I don't know. Rockslide and Korg are both terrible to me.
Yeah, F with malice.
Yeah. Thing on the other
hand. Nice try, but you're not putting the wool over us. We know what these characters actually do, and it's not that.
I don't know. He's good. I don't know if I'd say he's amazing, though.
I mean, look, you know...
to be fair, he's in the category of, I don't know what else he could do.
Yeah,
his effect is like, it's Thing enough, and it's not like there's a glaring other effect that would be better for him.
Right. And I think in the high evolutionary deck, you know, we don't really get points for animations, but the fact that he throws fire hydrants at people is very funny. And he is fighting in urban environments a lot because the Fantastic Four have their base in New York City. I feel like the Thing, like you say, his ability set is pretty basic. He's kind of like the, I don't know, least, not interesting, but least, I don't know. Like his bio is a lot shorter than the other members of the Fantastic Four, if that makes sense.
Yeah, his notable things are Can Pilot was part of a street gang. That's kind of it.
Yeah. And he's a really cool guy, right? Like he's one of the less like temperamental heroes.
I forgot his most important characteristic. He has blue eyes.
Oh, he does have blue eyes as well. Yeah.
Because if he didn't have blue eyes, he couldn't be the ever-loving blue-eyed Thing.
Exactly. So, when it comes down to it, I mean, he does clobber, pretty strong. Him throwing things at people makes sense. I'm willing to give him an A. Do I think it's sublime? No, but I mean, I think the only way that it could become sublime is if he says clobber in time when he threw the stuff at people. Then then maybe it'd be sublime. It does say it's clobber in time on his card, which, to be fair, right? Maybe they didn't give him an ability so that it could say it's clobber in time on the card, because only cards that have no abilities get flavor text. I'm just saying. No. Could be, but
I think A is the right place for the Thing to land. So this is a card we talked about earlier, with Kingpin. I don't know where he's going to land, but I don't think prospects are amazing for him, and it's Kraven the Hunter.
Now, Kraven the Hunter is a 2/3. When a card moves here, this gains +2 power. So kind of like we alluded to before, he is sort of an inverse of how Kingpin works, but he works for all cards, not just enemy cards. Which, brief aside, I think that maybe that makes more sense because he works alone, right? He's not really a works with other people kind of villain. But other than that, I mean, I don't know. He tracks people, I guess.
The thing about it is, like, it feels like they heard his name is Kraven the Hunter, and they made a top-down Hunter card, but it doesn't feel like a top-down Kraven the Hunter card. Because the thing is, if you're just like a hunter, it makes sense. You lie in wait, and as people move around, you get better situated. But the thing is, like, Kraven the Hunter is like, he's a really active hunter. His preferred hunting method is not like, sitting there and waiting for people. It's showing up in New York and directly attacking Spider-Man the first second he's there.
Yeah, he's not a saying in the hunting line kind of hunter.
Yeah. So it's like, I don't know. It's like, it feels on theme. As I said, it feels on theme for a hunter, but it doesn't feel on theme for Kraven the Hunter.
You know what? You know what Kraven should do? Kraven should do what Shang-Chi does. That's what I think.
I'll be honest with you. He feels like in a way he should be like the opposite of what Werewolf by Night does, where like he moves to where your opponents play cards and gains power.
Yeah, and that would make sense. Yeah, I agree with you. I just think he's a little too passive. His animation's pretty cool. I did not save Angel. Actually, wait, Angel has also changed. Only barely, but
he's a 2/3 now.
Yeah, not really worth mentioning. Yeah, it's just that change. But yeah, and I think Angel moved out of the hand when we first started this, right? I don't know.
No, I think when we started this, Angel had changed to move from deck.
Yeah, Angel moves from hand to or deck. Used to be only one of those. Not important. Anyways, look, the animation's not saving you, Kraven. I think you're going to D.
I would agree with that placement. You can make tentative connections, but it feels kind of out of character for Kraven. Oh, hey. Our favorite type of card, Max. One of the weird sword discard cards with Lady Sif.
Yeah, I mean,
she has a sword and she discards a card.
yeah. Specifically, she's a 3/5 that discards the card that costs the most for your hand. I mean, okay.
And unfortunately,
Yeah.
unlike Blade, she doesn't have the vampire theming to bring her up. So I think unfortunately she's gonna have to join the other Blade person, Colin Wing, in F tier because that.
Yeah, I mean, look, I can appreciate the grind, you know, of making some of the sword characters, some, not all, and that's what's most frustrating about it. Some of the sword characters discard cards. And look, cutting cards in half is pretty cool, but it's not cool enough. F.
Yeah. Well, next we have one of my least favorite, although no one plays him anymore, so I don't see him anymore, so I still think about him very often. Cards Leader.
Ah, Leader.
So,
man, remember when Leader was the worst card to be in Marvel Snap?
I mean, look, you're not seeing it. You're looking at this tier right now. This tier list has back when Leader was a 6/7.
How times have changed. It's funny because he's almost kind of horseshoed. Because he kind of like decreased and went back up. He's a 6/3 now.
Yeah. So Leader's a 6/3. Is he global again?
No, so on reveal, copy. Well, yes, he's global again, but he copies the enemy cards with the highest power played this turn on your side. So it's global, but it's only the highest power. It's not like all of them.
Yeah.
Like it originally was when the game started, and he was extremely broken. I mean, I'm gonna be honest. Like, I don't really know the Leader that well. I know he's smart. That's that's pretty obvious with the fact that he's just like green Megamind, but.
No, Megamind just blue Leader. Yeah, my argument's actually for like either D or F because this has nothing to do with Leader. Leader is a really smart guy. He's a lot of things. He's not really a guy who's like whole thing is like copying your opponent.
Yeah, he's not really a cloning guy.
Yeah,
there are cloning guys. He's not one of those. Yeah, I would say D, right? Yeah, yes, he has the sort of like, I'm 2 steps ahead of you kind of thing. But yeah, cloning is not really his thing. Like okay, like if Mr. Sinister did this, I would be like, S. He's not Mr. Sinister. He's Leader. So,
yeah.
Actually, pull up Mr. Sinister. Pull up Mr. Sinister. Well, let's talk about him real fast. Because he's a guy who actually does do cloning, and that's literally his whole thing.
Mr. Sinister, who is a 2-cost, 2-power, on reveal, summon a copy of... technically doesn't summon a copy, it summons a Sinister clone with stats equal to Mr. Sinister's stats.
Yeah. Yeah, so, I mean... what the fuck, guys? I think we get, like, one of those for the YouTube video. This one also upsets me.
Look, we're like an hour in. They only stand the first like 5 minutes.
Anyways, look, I'm not trying to get I don't know, I guess suppressed. We're not gonna get demonetized. Yeah, we don't. Yeah, let's think about this. We're not demonetized, we're unmonetized. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, Mr. Sinister should do what Leader does. Because that's what Mr. Sinister does. He clones people. He was in X-Men 97. It was amazing. Had Goblin Queen in it. Where's Goblin Queen in Marvel Snap? That's a question that nobody can answer but Ben Brode. And also, Mr. Sinister should do what Leader does. Again, I feel like I can't repeat that enough. He makes clones of people. He's awesome.
A counterpoint, actually, to that statement.
Okay.
I think Jackal should do what Leader does, and Mr. Sinister should do what Mr. Sinister does. Because Mr. Sinister is very specific in the fact that he's one of the few characters who makes a lot of clones of himself.
That's true.
And that's what makes him different than a lot of other characters, especially like the one I just suggested, the Jackal. The Jackal's made clones of a lot of different people. Most people who do cloning make clones of other people. Very few of them are like You didn't actually defeat me. You defeated Sinister clone number 97. Because there's just a bunch of clones of Mr. Sinister. It's like one of the things he does is he makes Sinister clones.
Okay. And I mean, these are kind of similar to Doctor Doom, right? Okay. I mean, you're convincing me. You're convincing me. I mean, I think the fact that, you know, both Jackal and Mr. Sinister both fit Leader's ability better than Leader does, it's not looking good for Leader.
Unfortunately, my argument is more in defense of Mr. Sinister's card and less in defense of Leader's card.
Yeah.
Because I think Mr. Sinister's game, and the same way I argued for Doctor Doom and him making Doom bots, I think this is one of the better things they could have Mr. Sinister doing, because it focuses on what makes him unique as a cloning character.
Sure. Okay. Well, maybe. Well, so I mean, probably Leader at D, right? Like you can justify it, but it's not very good.
Leader's at D.
Mr. Sinister. I mean, I get what you're saying. I feel like they could just do ever so slightly more with it, but I think. Like, from a gameplay balance perspective, he occupies a different niche than Doctor Doom. He's definitely not really as powerful as Doctor Doom. So him being, you know, like kind of lower power makes sense to me. Like lower cost.
He's older than Doctor Doom.
Yeah, he's older than Doctor Doom.
Well, who most people.
Yeah, I guess like Apocalypse, right, is older than he is.
Yeah. Turns out being from the Victorian era makes you older than most people who are still alive.
Yeah. When is Sebastian Shaw from?
I don't think Sebastian Shaw is heightened to life length.
Oh, really? He just dresses like that?
No, he's part of the Hellfire Club. They just dress like that. That's why, like, Emma Frost wears the clothes she wears, because she's the White Queen.
Okay, interesting.
They just dress weirdly.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, Mr. Sinister, he's pretty good. I feel like maybe they could do a little more with it. Maybe. I don't know. What are you thinking?
My thoughts is either B or A.
Okay, I'm thinking A. I think I'm gonna keep him out of Sublime, but I think A is very doable. I think your argument makes a lot of sense. I mean, Mr. Sinister does clone himself, and you know that is pretty different. And he does it pretty well. I think it's a well executed mechanic in the game. Can't complain too much about it. I think there could be a little more, but they did a simple concept of this card and they executed it well. It fits the character.
Now talk about a card that's had a lot of changes as some of the cards like today. None more so than Leech.
Now Leech is a 4-cost, 4-power. On reveal, remove the text from 6-cost cards in your opponent's hand. He's run through a lot of changes. He's always done the same fundamental thing. It's just when he targets stuff, how he targets it, what he targets. It's kind of been shuffled around, what cost he is. But fundamentally, he stops cards from having abilities, and now he does it only for on-reveal cards, which is more of a balance foible than like a, labor thing. And I don't know. I don't really think that detracts at all from his abilities that he does only this on reveal. Because unlike, say, like this card, I don't feel like on reveal is particularly tied to any sort of power set or archetype or, affiliation or anything.
You're actually you read the correct what he does. You're remembering his last iteration. He does 6 costs right now, not on reveals.
Oh, yeah. I read it correctly and then said it wrong just now.
You read it correctly and then you're remembering his earlier change. They changed him to hit on reveals and then they changed him to hit 6 costs after.
Okay, so actually I do have different opinions about that now. Because him hitting 6 costs only means that he only hits the biggest and baddest, which is not how Leech works.
Yeah. Leech, if you don't know Leech, which I don't blame you, he's a character who exists.
He's a Morlock. He's a mutant. The Morlocks live in the sewers. They're like the X-Men, but like the Doomer X-Men. Like the X-Men are like, the world hates us, and we're gonna save the Morlocks. Like, the world hates us. We're gonna live in the sewers.
They're the doomer versus the like, because like if the Brotherhood of Mutants is the evil, like humanity hates us, so we will defeat them. Warlock's kind of like humanity hates us, so we're just kind of it just sucks, okay? Life is bad.
They're the TMNT, but they're not heroes. They just live in the sewer.
Yeah,
and like they're like the broke TMNT, the busted down TMNT, the middle aged.
So I'll be 100% real. I don't know whether TMNT is getting money to pay for all these pizzas they're buying because they don't have jobs and no one's paying them to fight crime. So I don't know how they're getting money, but that's not really relevant to this video. Yeah. So Leech. Again, his actually we never actually said his ability in the comics is he disables the abilities of mutants around him. He just has like an area around him, and while in that area, mutants have no powers.
Yeah,
I think this is like a C.
Yeah, like is the ability good? Yeah, like it does it kind of match what Leech does? Yeah, I mean, if you were to say, hey, what ability do you think Leech has? I would say something like this. Yeah, he disables cards. Yeah. But the fact that it's been narrowed in scope because of the balance limitations, I think, has really kind of clashed with making him fit the character, having the mechanics fit the character.
Yeah, because theoretically, which would be like a probably really annoying card, would just be he would just be like a walking silence, not silence.
Yeah.
The place where he just be here's the thing would just be like ongoing. Other cards here have no text, and that sounds like a terrible card to play against. So I understand why
like Deep Space, like Cosmo combined with Deep Space.
Yeah.
Something horrible like that. Yeah.
So I understand why they didn't do that. That'd be more accurate to the character, but it would also be it would literally just be the worst card in the game. So I understand why they didn't do that. But I think Leech fits pretty comfortably in C. Hope he enjoys being at like ground level instead of in the sewers for once.
Morlocks coming up in the world.
Yeah, but only Leech. No, I don't believe any of their Morlocks are ever going to get this game.
Yeah.
No one knows any.
I mean, well, in X-Men 97, I think Legion was a Morlock.
Yeah, in X-Men 97.
Yeah, this goofy high top fade.
Yeah, we'll get the Legion someday. Anyway. Wizard.
Dr. Connors.
So Wizard is a 2-cost 5 power. If your opponent's side of this field location is full, he gets -3 power. So,
yeah, it's -4 now.
Oh, it's -4 now. Sorry.
Yeah.
What is this card?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's not really how Lizard works at all. Lizard is kind of like
a because he walks into a crowded mall and just curls into a ball and has an anxiety attack.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, he doesn't have like what would it be called? Like Gregoraphobia or something like that? Like some like a fear of the crowds or something like that? I don't know. He doesn't have that.
You never said agoraphobia, which I believe is a fear of leaving your house.
Agoraphobia is fear of wide open spaces. I said Gregoraphobia.
I fear the Gregorian calendar.
Well, yeah, not a fear of people named Gregor. Like a fear of like socialization.
Phobia is the fear of crowds.
Okay. Yeah, he doesn't have that. So
yeah, Wizard is not afraid of the crowd. He's probably ripping them to shreds, actually.
Yeah, live Andrew's research corner. He does not have that condition. Yeah, I mean, I don't really get this at all. I think F. I'm at a loss.
This is one of those clear Fs where you're just like, yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, I know Windows are like Wizards are like or like they need outside body temperature, but I don't think Wizards like, oh no, there's too many people. I'm just too hot. That's not how it works.
Yeah, I mean, like maybe what happened at Sex and Dinner is that they wrote a bunch of abilities down, and they wrote a bunch of characters down, and they started removing them and matching them on the board, and they're like, oh, Lizard's still on here. They're like, well, we have this design. And they're like, ship it, Yeah. Like, I don't get this at all. So
yeah. Now, from one that's really bad to one that I do understand a lot, we have Lockjaw.
Lockjaw. the may or may not be a dog, or just a person that looks like a dog.
Yeah, it depends on whether or not you're reading the before they made Lockjaw not horrifying retcon.
Yeah, so Lockjaw's a 4/4. After you play a card here, swap it with a card in your deck. So this is perfect, I think. I mean, I would go so far as to say Sublime. Lockjaw's whole thing is that because he's Black Belt's brother / dog. Again, depends on what side of the retcon you're on. But he has that goofy little tuning fork on his head, and it allows him to open portals. And he can transport people, and usually the Inhumans have Lockjaw around, and Lockjaw teleports them places.
One thing I will say about Lockjaw, which I don't know if it's enough to knock him down to Sublime, mainly because this is like a balancing thing, but Lockjaw doesn't switch people's location. He can just teleport people.
Yeah, I mean, pull Blink in here. Blink is, I think, a good comparison point.
Christ, when did Blink come out? Oh, there she is.
Yeah, so Blink is a 5/7. Swap the last card you played with the card that costs more from your deck. So very similar to Lockjaw, kind of different sequencing and how the ability goes off, but very similar effect, switches a card's location. Blink also does not switch the location of people. But it's a really similar ability. I do think that, perhaps for these cards, Jubilee's effect might have been a little more on flavor for them.
Feel perfect with Jubilee's effect, because again, as Wes talked about, Lockjaw's whole thing is he's the transport for the Inhuman royal family. So like most time when the Inhumans show up somewhere, they show up by Lockjaw teleports them all there.
Right. And similarly, Blink teleports the exiles places.
Yeah.
I maybe okay. I'm thinking maybe A for both of these cards, kind of for that reason, right? Because they do something that makes sense as teleportation. You're bringing characters into places that make sense, but the fact that you have to have this like law of equivalent exchange thing where the character has to go if a new one comes in is that's not really how that works at all.
Yeah, so we are unfortunately running into the wall we sometimes run into of this is in fact a game that has some kind of balance.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's a good balance.
This is a flavor tier list.
Think about it sometimes.
Yeah.
Speaking about thinking about balance.
What we got here?
Luke Cage.
Luke Cage. Oh man. Yeah, Luke Cage is kind of interesting. So he's a 3/3 ongoing. Your cards can have their power reduced. He's interesting because you would think that he would be a defensive card. But more often than not, he's kind of like he's like an enhancement card for decks that want to do Afflict and have a bunch of cards that do Afflict across the whole board, and makes it so that the Afflict only affects your side of the board, which sort of makes him an asymmetrical, like, offensive card. So he's really annoying. It's kind of what I'm trying to get across here. But as far as what he does, I mean, here's my thing, right? Luke Cage is bulletproof. Similar to Daredevil, who he is, part of the Heroes for Hire with. Luke Cage is kind of like pretty much a regular guy. I mean, he's really strong. He's bulletproof. His skin is like really like it's not just bulletproof. It's like I wouldn't say indestructible, but it's pretty hard to break his skin.
Yeah, no, it's pretty close to indestructible.
Yeah. But you know what he doesn't do? Expand that to other people.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of a little weird that he works the way he does. I mean, again, it is a game that has to have, kind of different things going on, right? But Colossus is a lot more similar to what I would imagine for Luke Cage. Where, he can't have his power reduced, like his power specifically. Can't be destroyed, like that makes sense for Luke Cage. They already gave it to Colossus. Like, oh, great. We have another guy who has indestructible skin. What do we do for this guy? I get that they gave him something different. I don't know why it's an aura. I feel like they could have just as easily given this to someone like, say, Invisible Woman. And look, Invisible Woman, sublime design, but somebody similar, right? Somebody who has the ability to create shields, or defensive barriers, or who's commonly throwing themselves in harm's way. And Luke Cage does do that. He's a hero that uses the fact he's indestructible to get behind me. Like, that's something that Luke Cage does a lot, right? But for all the locations as like a big ongoing aura, I don't know. They could get a little bit more involved with this one.
I would agree. But what is that? What do you think that has him land?
Well, I mean, I think there's a lot of cards in B and C that he would be comfortable alongside. Personally, I think he's a better fit in B because I think it really does fit his ability, like what the mechanic does. It's just not quite right.
I agree with that. I do have the question of, what is he doing with that card? Is he going to throw the car door? Because I don't know what other reason he'd have it. Did he rip that off? Is he about to punch someone in the car? I don't know why he has a car door.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is from a comic, so maybe if we saw the comic, we'd know.
He used the car door to hit someone with, or to block bullets, because again, he's bulletproof, and because he's bulletproof, his skin's really hard, so he just punches you and it hurts a lot.
Yeah, Luke Cage. I just bought this hoodie. Yes. I'm not in my Power Man outfit. Stop shooting me. Look, it's only gonna make me angry. This hoodie costs a lot of money.
Here's where it's interesting, because I'll bring her up so we can have a discussion about it. So the next card's Magic. Sorry, but I almost started reading the old one where she cost 5. 3 costs, 2 power. If it's before turn 5, replace this location with Limbo. Now, the thing with me with Magic that makes me kind of divided on her is, outside, if we didn't know what Limbo did, this card would be Sublime. Magic enters,
right,
opens Limbo. That's what she does. I don't know why Limbo makes a turn 7 happen.
Yeah. It's kind of weird because Magic is sort of similar to, the cards you just talked about, Blink and Lockjaw, right? She has the particular quirk that's sort of similar to Nightcrawler, where she just happens to go through an actual place between going through locations. And with her, it's a lot more explicit. Like, depending on the Nightcrawler comic or show or whatever, Nightcrawler might just teleport. But sometimes they've explored the reason why it smells like brimstone is because he goes through somewhere else that he can actually just go to.
Well, he kind of always goes somewhere else. The thing they're iffy on is whether or not he goes there or if he just uses it as a hyperspace thing.
Yeah, I mean,
it's when he teleports, he goes to the location and then moves in the location, or if he just if that location is just a way to move really quickly through space, and he doesn't actually he doesn't even know what it looks like because he doesn't actually.
Right, most of the time, but in X-Men Evolution, they actually go there, and it's a TV show. What I'm saying. Right?
Because I was just clarifying because it sounded like you were implying that sometimes he doesn't go somewhere else, but it's they're pretty clear that there's always another type of plane of existence relevant to his power, but it varies on whether or not it's an actual location or just some thing that happens. But anyway,
except for the X-Men movies where he doesn't actually go anywhere else. Again, look. Point being, Limbo, when she uses her sword,
portals to Limbo, and then from Limbo to open portals to anywhere else.
Yes. And that's a fundamental part of her ability. He doesn't do any teleporting in this game, which is kind of bad, but you can only do so much with one character unless they're a season pass character in the newest updates that do tons of stuff. Actually, funnily enough, I say that, but the last few season pass characters actually haven't done that much stuff. They kind of pared back the amount of text on new cards, which is a little refreshing.
They pare back the amount of power.
Yeah. They're still strong, but they're more narrow in focus. which is kind of interesting. But look, magic. I like the effect, but similar to Andrew said, I don't know why Limbo. When you have a turn 7. I mean, look, if you're thinking about the Catholic Limbo, right, where it's like a waiting place, then that makes sense. In Marvel, Limbo doesn't have like special rules to it beyond like the normal. Well, maybe not normal, but it's kind of like the Upside Down in Stranger Things, right? Weird stuff happens there. There's like a dark master that rules over it. It is not a space where time works differently.
And then magic kind of. I said there was a dark master who rules over it, and then magic it beat the shit out of him and took over Limbo.
Yeah.
Another thing that's very specific about Limbo is that's not like Limbo is just what magic named it when she got brought there as a kid. Like that's not the plane is not like Limbo. It's just that's what magic calls it, and she's the only like human really who can go to Limbo by themselves. So she gets to name it.
Yeah, and look, ultimately, I don't know why Limbo is the way that it is in this game. So that kind of brings her down a little bit. But she's a sword that opens Limbo. I mean, that's pretty much what she does. So I don't know. I mean, what do you think about that? We haven't really had this before, right? Where we have to so strongly judge a character on the location that they create. I mean, obviously we have Rhino, and Rhino makes perfect sense.
Yeah, he makes ruins.
Yeah.
That's just a description of the comics.
Right. And magic, opens a portal to Limbo. That's perfect, right? But then you look at what Limbo does, and you're like, well, that's actually I don't really like that at all. That doesn't make sense. Why is she buying you more time? That's not what Limbo does. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Maybe an A. Just because, I feel bad,
yeah,
dropping her too much, but
it's not her fault. It's Limbo's fault.
Yeah, I don't know why Limbo does what it does in this game, but it's not what it's supposed to be doing. So I would give her an A. I think that's a pretty good score. I think everybody can be happy about that one, but yeah, I mean, Limbo probably should do something different. I don't know what it would be, to be clear, but it should be something different.
I actually don't know how I feel about this card. We never talked about this, but the next card is Magneto.
Now, Magneto, the master of magnetism, 6 cost, 12 power, on reveal, move all enemy 3 and 4 cost cards to this location. Okay, so here's the thing, right? Magneto is a character that can move stuff around, and that's really mostly what he does, is he moves stuff around with his magnetic powers. Weirdly, he's also shredded. You never see him working out, but he's in really good shape. He uses his magnetic powers kind of do everything. His ability is him grabbing other characters and moving them to a location that he's at. That makes sense, right? He moves things around. I mean, the characters don't need necessarily to be made of metal, but this isn't that kind of game with that level of fidelity, right? Where it's so granular, but this character has the metal tag so he can move them. It's not really like that. So I mean, as far as in the constraints of Marvel Snap, I think his ability makes a lot of sense. And I think it works in a unique way. They could have done something stupid, make him magnetize 5 rocks into your deck or something like that. So, I think this is better than that would have been.
Yeah, I think
the 3 and 4 cost thing is a little weird.
I think because I mean they're thematically linked and they're kind of also the same person. I think we should also talk about Polaris here.
Yeah, so Polaris is she Magneto's daughter?
She's the good part of Magneto's personality given form.
Wow, that's similar, I guess, like in like an Athena Zeus kind of way.
At least that's what I remember. I don't know if they retconned her. That's what she was originally.
Damn. Yeah, well, so Polaris, I mean, similar type of vibe. She is a what is she now? A 3-5? Is she a 3-5 now?
I think so.
Yeah, she moves a 1 or 2 cost card, on opponent's 1 or 2 cost card at random, just one of them, to her location on reveal. Yeah, I mean, very similar, just kind of like a shrunk down effect, right? I like the rhyming. I mean, that's, there's some points for that. It's kind of like the Guardians of the Galaxy, how they save themselves from F tier by allowing the same ability. So I do like that it's on brand, the 2 magnetism type characters. I'm not crazy about this, right? But I do like it. I think it's cool. I think it works pretty well. I'm not confused by it. If you were to ask me, what do you think Magneto does? I would say he probably moves stuff around. He does that. And I feel like it works. It's not crazy, but it's pretty good. What do you think?
Yeah, it's one of those things where, because of the lack of granularity, she is Magneto's daughter.
One of the other children.
I was doing some research during there. Yeah, she's Magneto's daughter. Who inherited her power, which brings me to one of the really weird things about mutants, where sometimes their powers are hereditary and most of the time they aren't. Because it's weird to me. Because sometimes people are like, I'm your child, so I have like the same powers as you. And other times it's just like, nope, nothing in common at all.
Yeah, I mean, what level of retcon are we at now? Are Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver still Magneto's children, or are they not?
I have no idea.
Because originally they were, and then they weren't, and then they were again. I've lost track completely.
I know Scarlet Witch is actual magic right now, and not just like mutant probability manipulation anymore.
Yeah, which is fine. I think that works really well in the MCU. I think it's kind of interesting.
That's like that in the comics universe as well now.
Yeah, which I
don't know if they are right now. If they are,
I know in the MCU she is like the Scarlet Witch. You know what I'm saying? It was like a prophesied, has something to do with like the god of chaos, the primal god of chaos. And in Midnight Sun, she was awesome.
Okay.
Super, super cool.
They are not his biological children.
Okay. So they like adopted them when they joined the Brotherhood of Mutants, or like before then?
Still as his children.
Okay.
It has been. As of like this is stuff from like as of 2022. So I don't know. They may have changed it again since then. But as of 2022, he is not their biological father, but he still views them as his children.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, I mean, I think Magneto and Polaris, probably an A.
I could agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, Polaris, I would say, I think this is the right order. Like, where Magneto is 6 and Polaris is 3. Like, I think that makes sense. Polaris she's really powerful. Like, I think that she's not this anymore, but for a while she was like one of the poles of the Earth.
She replaced the North Magnetic Pole on Earth.
Yeah. So she was just chilling, literally, as the North Pole. Magnetic one, so a little bit off from like the geological pole, but she's extremely powerful. Like the fact that she can change the magnetic poles of the Earth means she's pretty powerful. Which is kind of funny because like Magneto can do that too, but he like didn't. Okay, in X-97, he tries to crash Asteroid M into Earth. When all he had to do was just like change the magnetic poles of Earth, and like everything would just, I mean, he did turn off all the electricity on Earth, so I think he did something with the magnetic poles, but he could do like worse.
Yeah,
I guess.
Magneto is one of those villains where it's a really good thing that he has like a well-defined goal that's not just kill everyone.
Right.
Because if his goal was just kill everyone, it would just be over.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because, like, realistically, all you do is just, like, I don't know, pull the core out, the whole planet's gone.
Right. And he could probably do it, you know. He's just that strong. But yeah, anyways, I think A for these.
I would agree with that. One of the other cards that got changed in the last, well, not the last, but one of the last members of our Guardians of the Galaxy squad, we have Mantis. I don't know who's reading. I'll read it. Mantis is what? She's a 2/3.
Let me see here. Mantis is a 1/2.
Okay, she's a 1/2 again. They nerfed her again. Well, they buffed her again. So Mantis is a 1/2. When she's played, if your opponent played a card this turn, she still copy the card they played.
Yes.
Yeah. So the confusion, if you don't know, she used to just what's it? Copy the top card of their deck or steal the top card of their deck or steal the bottom card of their deck?
I think it was steal. Yeah, I was like draw the top card of the deck. She was like Cable, but different.
Yeah. Now she just copies the card played. She's fine. She fits well into the copy card part of the telepath package that this game has.
Yeah. It's kind of interesting.
Not actually a telepath.
Yeah.
She's the less well-known and less well-used, not less well-used, like let's use less often, empath.
Right. So it's like specifically limited to emotions. Yeah, have all of you out there who are saying, "Oh, I'm an empath." She's an actual empath.
Yeah, she touches people. She knows and can manipulate their emotions.
Yeah. So whatever you're doing, stop it. She's an actual empath. I would say for her, maybe B. This isn't the best possible fit for her, just because the whole copying thing's a little odd. But like you said, limitations of the game pretty similar to other characters that have mental abilities who have to do something.
I will say, which is part of the reason why I'd like to put her above Cable, is I actually think the fact that she has the Guardians of the Galaxy wording, she's, in my opinion, the one that makes the most sense for it, because as I said, her power's limitation, she has to have physical contact with the person she's reading the emotions of, which is why you have to play her at the same time as the other person.
Okay. Yeah, I like that justification. That makes sense.
No, well.
All right.
Maria Hill. No, okay. Now that we do, you want to just do all of them now that we do.
Oh, all the shield people. Okay.
When we did Agent 13, we didn't just pull everyone. Yeah. So let's pull everyone. So we have.
Let's close it out. Let's close it out with a heavy hitter. This one will be interesting.
Yeah. So we have Maria.
We've got quite a few.
Nick Fury. Let's bring Quinjet in. Why not? Quinjet. I don't remember when they added the helicarrier.
I think we already did that one.
We did that. Yeah. Helicarrier's base. Do we want to bring Mockingbird in?
Yeah. Why not?
I think
while we're at it, we could also bring in what's her face? She's one of the newer cards. She works for Hydra. Oh, why can't I remember her name?
Valentine?
Yes.
Latina. Yeah, and I think that's all the ones we haven't done. So we already did Agent 13 and the Helicarrier. Agent 13 got a B, and the Helicarrier got a D. So
yeah. I mean, a lot of these characters that do the same thing as Agent 13, they're pretty similar. I will say, though, right, one thing that makes Nick Fury and Valentina and Maria Hill all different from Agent 13 is that all of them are supervisors. They are all part of S.H.I.E.L.D.'s leadership. And in fact, Maria Hill and Nick Fury have both been the director of S.H.I.E.L.D. So they make a lot more sense to like summon characters to help you, because that's part of their job is to, they lead from the front, right? But they also, lead from the office, right? As directors. So them saying, hey, get somebody in here to address this problem. I mean, that makes perfect sense.
I would like to say, this is a very specific thing that people who care about comics only they will get. This is specifically Nick Fury Jr. As you can tell, because it's Nick Fury looks like Samuel Jackson, who originated in the Ultimate Universe, but when they got rid of the Ultimate Universe, they just introduced Nick Fury Jr. to still have that character around. Right, Nick Fury is...
He's actually in the game as a variant for this Nick Fury, which is fascinating. Which is kind of weird, right? Because it's like, you know, they're kind of conflating the same character. I guess they've done that for a couple of the characters in the game that have, like, different versions of, like, they're different people that have the same mantle.
Yeah. But this is MCU / Ultimate / Nick Fury Jr. Nick Fury. Doesn't matter that much, but it's a notable difference because this Nick Fury is significantly less of a jerk than the other white Nick Fury. Because we all know everyone's favorite comic event. Who killed Uatu, says Nick Fury, as the person who killed Uatu.
Yeah, crazy work. But yeah, I mean, I would say that Nick Fury and Maria Hill and even Valentina could go into A for that reason. Yeah, because they are more likely to summon people. And I like that Valentina has that kind of twist where she also kind of hurts them a little bit, because Valentina, even more than Maria Hill, it's kind of like if you put Nick Fury Jr., Nick Fury Sr., Maria Hill, and Valentina on like a spectrum, Valentina's the biggest jerk of all of them, because she's actually like not a good person at all.
Yeah. Nick Fury is like the ends justify the means. Valentina is just evil.
Yeah. And then you have Maria Hill, who she's kind of a jerk sometimes, but because she believes in like she's kind of like lawful good, where she's like, rules are really important and we're going to follow them to the letter. Maybe even like verging on kind of that like lawful neutral type beat, where she's like, listen, I don't really care what has to happen here. You're going to comply with the laws, and that can kind of make her a little bit of a jerk sometimes. If, it's like when you're fighting Captain America, you have to ask yourself, like, am I doing the right thing? Maria Hill does not ask herself that question. She goes, no, that's what the law says, so I'm right. And then Nick Fury Jr. is like, he's on Captain America's side. You know what I'm saying? So he's kind of like the least bad of them. I think the fact that he's like Nick Fury Jr. MCU, the fact that he summons 6 costs, kind of like he's bringing the Avengers together, I like that a lot.
Yeah.
So
yeah, Nick Fury shares the same kind of thing of Captain America, where Captain America is like, no, you don't understand. I don't fight for the American government. I fight for the American ideals.
Yeah, exactly.
And those overlap a lot, but not all the time.
Do we think any of these are sublime? I mean, to be fair, I don't know. Like, these are kind of weird in the sense that if you were to say, hey, this character from S.H.I.E.L.D. is in the game, what do you think they do? I'd be like, I don't know. But when you say, oh, they're coordinating other characters to come fight, I'm like, oh, okay, that makes sense. I don't know if I would make Maria Hill a 1-drop. That seems a little odd to me. I mean, maybe you could justify it in the same way that you justify like Kingpin, but I mean, I don't know.
I think it's because none of these really have like. None of these are like I will say they're kind of like a better version of the Guardians of the Galaxy to me, in that the Guardians of the Galaxy is like, you're like, I have no idea what those would do, and they all do the same thing. You're like, oh, that's cool, they all do the same thing, but this is kind of a weird thing for them to be doing. S.H.I.E.L.D., you're like, oh yeah, that makes sense, and it's cool that all the S.H.I.E.L.D. things do the same thing. Like they have that have that thematic synergy, and then also the synergy is like, yeah, I could see that.
Yeah,
so those 3 can join Agent Coulson and A.
Yeah, okay.
Now, Quinjet.
And then Quinjet. Now, Quinjet is interesting because Quinjet doesn't summon cards, but it does fit into the strategy because it allows you to play them for cheaper. Specifically, what Quinjet says is that it's a 1/2 ongoing. Cards that didn't start in your deck cost 1 less. Now, minimum 1. had to change this.
Number one, that text that's not a text that was there from the beginning. That is one of those texts where it's like we had to learn you need that text.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of interesting in the sense that it works outside of Shield, which is actually the problem with the card because it worked with like Thanos, for example.
It worked with Thanos, and now the problem was it worked with Arishem before Arishem fell out of favor.
Yeah, I think it's good. I think it's pretty dang good. Quinjets help agents of Shield and their friends get places faster. And it reduces costs, which lets you play them earlier and more often.
It also brings in reinforcements. The people who are not originally there for the fight, which is, the people that weren't in your deck.
Right.
It makes getting more people there easier.
Yeah. So, I mean, to me, I think, oddly, in contrast to the only other vehicle in the game, the Helicarrier, I would give this an S. I mean, if you told me, hey, are all your favorite Marvel characters in this game, Captain America, Spider-Man, Quinjet, I'd be like, wait, back that up. The Quinjet's a character in the game? But they pulled it off. So,
I would, My real only complaint with the Quinjet, although it makes sense because it does fit in the strategy law, is the fact that it's a 1/2, because like Quinjets are like really big. For some reason, my mind always thinks there's like a toy Quinjet. like a 1/50th scale model.
Yeah, Quinjets are pretty large vehicles.
And the last Shield member we have is Mockingbird. Now, Mockingbird's interesting because she does fit really well she fits well into multiple strategies. Actually, the Shield one's actually not even the best strategy. The best strategy for her is Squirrel Girl.
Right.
Because she's just a 4-cost 5 power, a 4-cost 10 power. She's a 6-cost 10 power. She's
9 power.
She's 9 again, okay. She's a 6-cost 9 power because they don't want her to get killed by Shang-Chi. She costs 1 less for each card in the battlefield that didn't start in your deck. That doesn't really have anything to do with Mockingbird.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what that has to do with Mockingbird at all. I think it's kind of interesting when you look at this card versus Valentina, where Valentina, they incorporated the fact that she's like a Hydra agent into her card in an interesting way that honestly isn't too complicated. Mockingbird's not a Hydra agent, but one of the main things with Mockingbird is that she's like married to Hawkeye, and he did not know that she was a Shield agent for a long time. Which is really interesting, right? She's Agent 10 or something like that. She's like this, super high powered Shield agent who was in like deep cover for a long time. I don't know. I feel like they could do something more with that. Obviously, there is Shield synergy, but
she's Agent
19. Okay. I'd be willing to put her with Agent 13, where it's like, I get it, it fits in the synergy. For this Shield character specifically, I'm not sure I'm getting it. And it's kind of a weird one where instead of, because the other Shield characters, they bring allies to the field, but she benefits from allies being brought to the field, which is kind of a fundamentally different relationship. It's the same deck and like idea, right? But it's a different side of it. It's on the other end of the sort of thing. And unlike, Ghost and Invisible Woman that have the same power and kind of approach it from different angles, but they're both really interesting, this is like approaching it from a different angle that's like wrong. It's like upside down. You're like, I don't really like this. It's kind of how I feel about Mockingbird.
Yeah. She's the same. I think she might end up in the same tier. She's the same kind of pop that the Helicarrier had. Although, funnily, the Helicarrier kind of has more thematic themes of my explanation of it crashes and a bunch of people show up to see what happened. Which is still my best explanation for Helicarrier. But it's like, I don't know, it's weird because like her thematics work less well for her, but she fits better in the Shield deck than Helicarrier does.
Sure.
Mockingbird is I don't know, because like on one hand I want to really like her because she fits so well into the Shield's idea, but the other hand, like it's not really Mockingbird.
Yeah. I mean, maybe we could put her in C, because it kind of, I feel like maybe some of these factors cancel each other out, right?
Yeah, I don't know. It's like on one hand, it's like I kind of wish she was just like a life model decoy card. Because that would fit really, really well in the Shield, and also like the life model decoy is barely a character. I don't know. They could just make this Dum Dum Dugan, and no one would care because like Dum Dum Dugan is barely a character.
Yeah.
Like,
the only person who would care would be me.
Like, well, I mean, it's not really Dum Dum Dugan, but like, what is Dum Dum Dugan?
Yeah. Yeah. The only person that would care would be me, because Dum Dum Dugan has been on my wish list for a while for Marvel Snap. I've literally texted Andrew with no context. When do you think they're going to add Dum Dum Dugan to Marvel Snap?
So the unfortunate, I don't know if they will. Like, I'm sorry, like, I know both of us really like Dum Dum Dugan. I don't think most people know who that is or care who that is. But then again, they did release this game with Hell Cow in it, so what do I know?
Exactly. Dum Dum Dugan is coming.
Look, I'm just holding out hope for Big Wheel.
I mean, honestly, okay, Big Wheel has, I think, a really good chance, just because, I think literally, specifically because of Video Game Donkey. I think that is why Big Wheel will come to Marvel Snap eventually. They have a what's it called? A motto, what do they call them again, game?
Oh, the titles?
Yes, they have a title that mentions Big Wheel.
Yeah.
And that's big, because I don't think there's a title that mentions Dum Dum Dugan, which is a crying shame.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Dum Dum Dugan's like, I don't know, like, it doesn't speak great for your chances when your most notable thing you've done is not actually you, it's a robot that looks like you.
Yeah, I would love to have a title that said Dum Dum Dugan's Life Model Decoy. That would be awesome.
That would be a good title.
Yeah.
I don't know. I have a lot of titles. The only one I use is, yes, the whole 24 ounces, because I don't know what that's supposed to mean, and it's funny to me.
All right. Well, so what do you think? I mean, do you think C is appropriate for Mockingbird?
I think C is appropriate, because it's like, I feel conflicted on it, but I don't want to put it in the same tier as Helicarrier. That just feels wrong.
Yeah. There's more of an explanation for Mockingbird, and she gets that synergy bonus.
We missed a card. We missed a card we need to reevaluate. Because I was just looking at this thing, and he's sitting there in the second spot of D, and they've radically changed him. It's the man, the myth, the legend, Atuma.
Ah, okay. So they have changed Atuma since the last time we talked about it. He is a 4-cost, 10 power still. However, he now says, after each turn, destroy one of your cards here with less power. So now he destroys other characters instead of himself, which makes way more sense.
Yeah. Oh wait, I was going to be like, how did Atuma get to D? And I'm like, oh, Atuma got to D literally off of the theming of Atlantis liking things alone. That is the only reason he's in D.
Yeah, and I think, is Atuma the kind of character that scapegoats people and throws them away? You know, that tosses minions aside? I don't know. It's not. It's better.
Yeah, it's a lot better.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's gonna climb to C for me, personally.
Yeah,
I like it, but I don't love it still.
I will say though,
to be honest, Atuma's not like that interesting of a character, to be honest. So
I will say though, at least this time, even without the Atlantis synergy, I would say he's just a C himself. Because last time, if he didn't have the Atlantis synergy, he would just be an F.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, I'm kind of surprised the Atlantis synergy was enough for us to not put him in F.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and I don't know. I mean, the Atlantis synergy, it's only gotten deeper since last time we talked about it, because they added Nomura.
Yeah, Nomura does exist now.
let's close it out. Let's close it out with Namora because I feel like it's relevant. We're talking about Atlantis stuff.
We have to close it out with Namor also because we haven't done In yet.
Oh, we haven't done Namor. Okay, yeah. Pull them all too.
Okay, Namor.
Yeah, I forget that we talked about Atuma first because he's an A.
Yeah, we talked about Atuma first things before we pulled people for thematic links. So we have Namor and Namora.
Yeah. So Namor 4/6 ongoing +5 power. If this is your only card here. He is very prideful.
Too.
What's that?
Let's pull Orca too.
Oh yeah, Orca. That's a good one. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Namor is very prideful. You know, he's the king of Atlantis, and he makes sure everyone knows that.
Being a jerk is one of his major character traits.
Yeah. You know, I mean, he was part of the. He was part of the oh shoot, what were they called?
The Illuminati?
The
Phoenix 5?
Yes. Also those. I think it was the original
the Freedom
the
Fighters?
Original Defenders?
Defenders, yeah, the Defenders. Was it Defenders?
Yeah.
Not
there was the All-Star Squad, but there was also the before that they were called something else. I think it was the Defenders. And it was Captain America. The what?
The Invaders.
The Invaders, yes. Because I was like, the Aggressors? I was like, no, that's wrong. But yes, the Invaders. With Captain America, Bucky, Barnes, and the android Human Torch.
And don't forget Toro.
yeah, Toro. Yeah, I'm going to forget Toro.
How could you forget Toro? He's the Human Torch again. But, like, not the... If you're confused, this is back when everyone had most characters had sidekicks. So... Yeah.
Notably, not Namor.
Yeah,
Namor doesn't really do sidekicks.
Does not have a sidekick.
He works alone.
The original Toro was the female version sidekick of Human Torch. Captain America's like, yeah, I brought my 12-year-old who's in the army unit along, and Human Torch is like, yeah, I brought this female version of me, and Namor's like, look, I don't have friends.
Yeah, isn't it crazy that Bucky was originally just a kid?
Yeah, they described as I said we heard about this. They described him as the unit's mascot. I don't know what that means.
I mean, you know, army units do have mascots in real life sometimes, but usually like pets. They're usually not
random preteens.
They're usually not like drummer boys. I mean, which is also a thing. So, hey, I mean, it has historical precedent. But listen, the 700s were a very different time. So, you know, look, all I'm saying is Namor, he fought the Nazis. Not because he wanted to help the Allies, but because even he was like, I don't like these people. They suck. So he didn't stop them from conquering the world.
A couple of his main first issues, Namor fought Nazis, not because he was like fighting Nazis, but because he was trying to wage war on humanity, and the Nazis were just the first ones he came across.
Damn.
Because in the first issue, literally, it's like he declares war on the humans, and he just goes out and happens to run into a U-boat.
Yeah. And he's like, see, humans are all evil. And they're like, oh, the rest of us aren't like that, bro.
Also, of course, back when Namor was blue.
Right.
For the very short period before they were like, why is he blue?
Yeah. I kind of like how they kept it in, like, sometimes. Like, it's like, oh, they're blue when they're out of water. That was how they did it in the Black Panther movie. He's not blue when he's out of water now. And he wasn't then either. Anyway, look. Point is, Namor being alone and him being more powerful when he's alone makes sense. Namora, on reveal, just 5/6, give +5 power to each of your cards alone in another location. I really like how that works really well with Namor, Inatuma, and Orca. It's really good synergy.
She's very the support cards for the Wakanda strategy, where she doesn't have the thing that the other Atlantis cards have, but she very heavily supports the thing they're trying to do.
Yeah, and okay, MCU reference, MCU mentioned. That makes perfect sense with the MCU version of the Atlanteans, because their whole thing is that they're very similar to the Atlanteans, and they're, they were fighting, but then they decided at the end
similar to the Wakandans. Yeah. The Atlanteans are. I would hope the Atlanteans are similar to the Atlanteans, considering they're the Atlanteans.
Yes. Yeah, the they was the Wakandans. But yes, the Wakandans and the Atlanteans are very similar. Spoilers for Black Panther 2 if you haven't seen it somehow.
I still haven't seen it.
Well, you don't watch movies, so
yeah.
They fight for no good reason, and then they eventually decide to work together because they're basically the same. It was similar to Black Panther 1, where the Atlanteans were like, we're going to destroy humanity because they all suck. And the Wakandans were like, no, don't do that.
No.
And they had to fight about it. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, basically, Namor was just Killmonger again. But, like, instead of, like, being against, like, racists, he was just against humans that want vibranium, which is, it's similar but kind of different. And then Shuri was like, no, don't do that. And then he was like, I'm going to do that. And then she was like, okay, now we have to stop you. But there was also, like, this horrible things that happened in between that. It was really messy story. I think good, but, like, messy in, like, an emotional way. Like, it was, like, a lot of bad stuff happened. But yeah, all that to say, I like that it works with the Wakandans, because the Atlanteans and the Wakandans, at least in the MCU, and honestly in the comics as well, they're both like kind of like isolationist sort of like enclaves, right? That have super advanced technology and kind of keep themselves kind of sequestered from the rest of, I don't know, the people that live on Earth. So I like that they kind of work together. There's like a little side thing.
Yeah, sorry. I was doing research on Orca, and I just came across, this is nothing to do with Orca, but I came across a thing which I had not thought about, but I'm like, that makes sense, which is the name of the Soviet super soldiers after the Soviet Union stopped existing, which is the People's Protectorate.
Oh, okay.
Because they had to have another name because they were
right.
They weren't the Soviet super soldiers because the Soviet Union didn't exist.
Yeah, I guess that'll be important when we get to like Omega Red and the other one, Red
Guardian.
Red Guardian.
Who's the Red Guardian's the only actual member of the Soviet super. I see you're here for Dum Dum Dugan. I want them to add Ursa Major. He can turn into a bear.
Yeah, is the Soviet Iron Man clone? Is he in Marvel? Oh, that's Red Guardian?
No, sorry, Red Guardian. Crimson Dynamo. Red Guardian's Soviet Captain America.
Captain America, yeah. Crimson Dynamo, yes. Yeah, they should have Crimson Dynamo to the game.
Red Guardian, the brother and sister who have like light powers, and Ursa Major as the Soviet super soldiers. Yeah,
and they've already added all of the widows that matter. Spoilers, there's two of them.
And there's some other people around sometimes in Soviet super soldiers, but those are like the five. Those are like the four who matter. And
preview of another episode.
They change who has powers sometimes. This is not like an original Yondu situation where Yondu's race just sometimes randomly becomes the other gender. That was a thing. I don't know why that was a thing, but they're just like, oh no, Yondu's just a woman now, and they were for like a bit.
Yeah, dude, Yondu art germ win. That's all I'm saying.
Unfortunately, this game is the wrong version of Yondu for that because it's new age Yondu.
Okay, but think about it. All right, Argerm Loki is Sylvie. So
they could have just They could have just taken the actual canon MCU time Loki was a woman.
Yeah, actually, I think it might even just be that one because the Loki in that Archerm did has like brown hair and Sylvie has blonde hair.
Yeah, it might be the time Loki was a woman. Or was they the car for the time Loki was like a 12-year-old?
I don't think so. They should add that one though. The one there's also one in the Loki TV show.
Kid Loki.
He's in like the void. He's just a kid, and he's like, "I killed Thor."
Well, no, because the one I'm talking about, like Loki died and then just got resurrected as like just a child.
Wow, that's wild.
Just like 12. Anyway, on to the last card we're ranking today, Orca. He's an Atlantean.
Yeah. So Orca is a 6 cost, and base 11 power, but has an ongoing +5 power if this is your only card here. Yeah, I mean it's very similar to what Namor does. Now you're gonna have to lore check me on this one because I don't actually know. Is Orca stronger than Namor?
I don't know. You know, let's ask the objective ranking.
There's an actual.
So a fun thing people may not know, if you're not super into Marvel comics, you won't know about this. Marvel has this thing called the Power Grid.
So yes.
Marvel actually ranks all of their characters on how powerful they are in a couple of metrics. So, if they have that for Orca, which I don't know if they do, it is possible to have an actual answer between Orca and Namor of who is more powerful. While I'm looking this up, I'll tell you some fun facts about Orca, because I'm assuming you don't know any fun facts about Orca, and I'm assuming most people also don't know any fun facts about Orca. He was an Atlantean. He worked for some military guy who tried to do a coup. It didn't work. So they got exiled from Atlantis. And he actually, interestingly, is genetically modified. So when he got exiled, he ended up at this scientist's research center, and he genetically modified him. And I actually didn't know this. I found this out recently while reading stuff. The same person who made Tiger Shark, if you know the Marvel villain Tiger Shark, they were both given. Although I think Tiger Shark's a human, and Orca is an Atlantean. Okay, so we have Power Good rankings. Namor has an intelligence of 2. Wow.
Well, he doesn't have augmented intelligence.
This guy is just he got straight B's, a strength of 6, speed of 3, durability of 6, energy protection of 2, and fighting skills of 4. Whereas Orca has a intelligence of 2, strength of 6, speed of 3, durability of 6, energy protection of 1, and fighting skills of 3. So they have the same strength and durability, but Namor has any amount of energy protection while Orca has none, and he's slightly better at fighting than Orca, according to the Marvel Power Grid rankings.
Yeah, so it's sounding to me like Namor should be the 6 drop, and Orca should be the 4 drop.
I would agree with that.
So that's not
because it's like
great.
Why is Orca the big card in this strategy? No one knows who Orca is. His entire publication history in the Wikipedia article is just the first comic he appeared in, and it got tagged as even expanding in 2016, and nothing's been added to it.
Yeah, Orca is kind of a left field choice, which Marvel Snap is kind of, ignominious for, infamous for. It's Marvel Snap, baby.
Kind of like if they
we're not giving it a pass though.
Black Panther and M'Baku or something. It's like, wait, what?
Yeah. Me personally, I think Namor being a 4 just on its own is fine, but with Orca being at 6, I'm like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
So I would rank Orca a little lower just because I don't understand why he's the 6 drop. He just seems a little bit too powerful for being Orca. I understand why there's a 4 drop and a 6 drop, because having a 3 drop that gives +3 to itself when it's alone sucks mechanically. But if you're gonna put both characters in the game, put them in the right order. It's like the Guardians, they're all in the right order. So why are these guys in the wrong order?
It's weird. I do not get it.
So okay, so now we have to rank them. So I would say, Namor and Namora, maybe, because to be clear, while it makes a lot of sense, I don't really think they capitalized on what the Atlanteans do and what they are. I mean, yes, they're prideful people that stand apart from others and it's kind of difficult in a game that doesn't have like biomes or something like that to bring the fact that they're from like under the ocean to the forefront of their mechanics. But I don't know, some kind of move ability or something like that maybe could have been welcome. But this is an interesting angle. I'd be willing to put Nomura as high as A, but I would be comfortable with B.
That was Nomura, you said?
For Namor.
For Namor. I think A works for him, because it lines up with the Atlanteans, and it even more so lines up with just him.
Sure. Right, with the synergy bonus, yeah. Yeah, I can see him in A. And then maybe Namor also A. I mean, she fits perfectly in the synergy bonus. She's a support kind of person, and she's a support character mechanically, and she helps Namor, which is exactly what she does all the time.
Yeah.
Orca, I mean, probably B. He has the same strengths and weaknesses as Namor, like personality-wise, but he's like more of a jerk. But he's also more powerful than Namor, which doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
And then Atuma. Oh, that's right. We already ranked Atuma. Yeah, he's just actually supposed to be
escaped in C. D into C.
Yeah, he broke out of D. He broke out of the trenches. The Mariana. Well, I think that's just about enough Marvel Snap tier listing as we and the audience can handle.
Yeah, we are over 2 hours, so.
Yeah, so go ahead and like, comment, subscribe, and hit the notification bell if you want to maybe get another video notification in who knows how long.
Hopefully the next video will come out before 6 months pass.
I think it's pretty achievable. You never know. No, I've been moving around a lot recently. I think I'm going to stay where I am. Physically here, not also just residence-wise, but I'm going to be available more often. So I think there's another video coming a lot sooner than 6 months. But stay tuned for that, and we'll see you next time on Where Fight Air for another Marvel Snap lore-based tier list.